Hi, welcome to the coaching show. I'm Laurie Lawson, and tonight my guest is Jennifer Urezzio. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming
Really,
and being on the show.
so excited, so honored. It's really just fascinating and fun to be here, so thank you.
Yeah, well, we've got a fantastic, as you know, the name of this game is the coaching game, and it's all about communication and new ways to come up with awareness and things that are going to create awareness. And Jennifer has come up with one doozy of a product. But first, let me just tell you a bit about the coaching game. The coaching game is based on this marvelous coaching tool called Points of View, the coaching game. And it is designed to bring right and left brain thinking together with amazing results. And there's a series of 65 cards, and I usually have my guest pick out cards that sort of sing to their heart. And Jennifer chose two today, and we'll see how they come up, and I'll let you know what they are when we get around to it. But Jennifer, first of all, as you can see on the bottom of the page, we have that she's the founder of Soul Language. Okay. We need to know, what is Soul Language? What made you start it? Tell us all about it.
Well, several years ago, I was asking these really big questions. I was like, okay, divine, that's what I call my higher power. I know what my life purpose is, powerful healer and teacher of service in the spotlight. That's great. What do I do with that funny little title, and where are my people? Because I'm really lonely and I'm really angry about it.
I don't have anybody to talk to, yes.
And so I was speaking at a conference about essential oils and life purpose, because I can write spiritual protocols for people with essential oils. And this woman went, we're going to be friends. Sat down next to me and I went, I totally get that. Why her, divine, and not this other woman across the way? Who looks really nice, but I don't really care if I ever see her again. Like, what is that? And what I heard through divine guidance was soul language. And I was like, okay, I'm going to keep asking questions.
Now, when you say you heard soul language, what does that mean?
You know, when you know, like when your mother, when your friend is going to, like, you just have this knowing that that's the person on the phone without looking at the, right? It was that kind of knowing. Okay. So when I receive information, it's a knowing, or I see it like kind of on a blackboard, or I just see a kind of a sentence in my head.
Would that be the same as if you see someone and you go, a soulmate, and you go, you know what, we're going to be together. This is got, and don't know him from a hole in the wall. Okay.
Yeah, and what happens is, if we look, there's 107 different key energies of soul, right? So
now, who knows that? You and who else? Where'd you get that information from?
I just started asking questions.
And how many?
107 different ones.
Amazing.
In 3 different categories. Your mission, how you'll be known here, and then your soulful personality, how your soul prefers to go through life. So I can talk to somebody, identify their 3 core energies, and kind of give them a one-liner to the soul. Not to put anybody in a box, but to actually form a deeper connection for who you are, what you want, and how to be closer to whatever you call your higher power. Whether it's tree, universe, Bob, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Really.
And so when I started, kind of after I started listening and kind of writing down this kind of idea or paradigm, I went back to that woman. And I was like, okay, so I'm doing this weird thing called soul language, and can I identify your 3 languages? And she's like, sure. And what we found out was that we spoke a same soul language in common. So of course she recognized me, and I recognized her.
But you didn't know why.
I didn't know why.
Was she aware or no?
She had this understanding of why we were going to be friends. And I went, yeah, I totally get that. But I didn't know the core. We would have conversations, and she would say, it's so funny, she would say, you know, I would talk sometimes at a group of people. She goes, and I would say something, and everyone would turn to me, acknowledge me, and then go back to the exact same conversation that they were having. And I went, oh my God, I've had that same experience.
They didn't hear you.
They heard me, but what one of our soul languages that we have in common is all about teacher of integrity. So it's all about truth. It's all about lovingly and hopefully compassionately pointing out people where they're out of the consciousness of love. So we would say things, and people would go, yeah, I don't want to look at that. Let's go back to the normal conversation.
Oh.
And so when you meet someone who actually speaks your soul language, there's this profound kind of experience of, I get you.
Okay, we're going to all pause and think of, who is that person? I hear what you're saying. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I know almost everyone in my life soul languages. And what I've noticed is I collect certain soul languages.
Ah, okay. So it's not that everyone has to be the same mission and the same.
Right.
They're all compatible, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you communicate better with.
Well, there's a deeper sense of understanding. Then there's energies, and we all experience this, that polish our diamonds, right?
Right.
And so I understand which core energies of soul do that for me as well.
Wow.
And then I know, like, here's a perfect example. I know my mom's 3 soul languages, right? So one of hers is called a negotiator. She negotiates everything. I love my mom. And it would be like, okay, so do you want to go? There would be a negotiation. Now, when she does it, I'm like, I just smile because I know that that's her kind of
her
thing.
Style. That's how she communicates.
Right,
Yeah.
and I'm cool with it. I don't take it personally. The moment I realized that, I also realized why every person I hired to be my assistant was a negotiator. And I thought, oh, I'm trying to work out mom issues through this. Gonna let that go.
I got it. All right. Ah, okay. So how do you determine who is what soul? I mean, what mission is a negotiator? How do you determine that?
So our body has this divine intelligence, right? It knows where to pump the blood. It knows whether chocolate is in its greatest good. There's a process called muscle testing that chiropractics have been using for years.
Where it's like resist.
Exactly.
Okay.
What I do is something called therapeutic kinesiology, which means that
Sounds so important.
it's very fun. Which means that my body is the pendulum on your soul's behalf, and it's all energy. So with a person's permission, like we did in your discovery session, I ask your permission to be the pendulum on your soul's behalf.
Okay.
And your soul moves my body down a muscle testing sheet until I get to a yes response for 3 different languages. 1 language in 3 different categories. And that's how I determine the soul languages.
So you don't need to physically go resist.
Absolutely,
Because we did ours on the phone, actually.
Yeah. No, in fact, I've identified close to 3,000 people now.
Wow.
And I've never met probably 99% of those people. And I hear the same thing over and over again. Oh my God, you just put words to what I know. Oh my God, I can accept this part of me? Wait, I've been told that, being innovative and being pioneering is wrong, but wait, you're saying that that's what I chose and I can utilize that to like create a life of happiness? Yeah, and there's this deep sense of acceptance.
So what made you say, when you say you're the founder of Soul Language, what does that mean exactly?
I created the paradigm of this way of connecting to your soul.
That's amazing.
And it's...
I wanted to make sure it was that impressive, and it is.
Well,
yes.
thank you. I don't think I could have stopped it. What I realized as I was kind of listening and writing this material, that I was collecting this information from the moment that I was a kid. Like books and songs and, like, oh, that's why I have this? Okay, that makes sense. This is why I read that? Okay, that makes sense. So it's not like I set out to create a new paradigm of connection. It kind of fell in my lap and I just kept going because it just couldn't stop. And then this was the greatest moment. So I was talking to a person who knew nothing about soul language, knew nothing about the 107 energies, nothing. And we identified one of her languages as a partner, and I said, so how does that resonate with you? She goes, if I said to myself, what would Jennifer call my soul language? She goes, I wrote down the word partner, and I burst out hysterically crying.
Wow.
She's like, oh my God, what's wrong? I go, you just told me I'm not crazy.
Ah.
And that's how profound when this happens, the understanding it. And then you can understand how you're utilizing your soulful gifts and talents and consciousness, or in struggle and in pain. Often everyone gets kind of a language definition, on a sheet. And I rarely identify anyone that speaks my same soul language. So a couple weeks ago, I was identifying someone who spoke my soul language, and I was reading to them the sheet. And I was like, I just got to pause. And he's like, why? I was like, because I just realized I'm in the unconscious behavior of that energy. I was like, because we kind of outsmart ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And so then you can have that new awareness of like, oh, I'm in this kind of pattern of unconscious behavior, this struggle. Wait, I know how to connect and move to consciousness.
Wow, now that's invaluable, I would think.
Totally.
It's Because I'm always amazed, I guess, and I'll use driving as an example. I'll be driving and it's like, how did I get here? I don't remember a thing about it. Where was my mind? How did I not have an accident? I mean, I was on the road, I was in my lane, but your mind is somewhere else, and it's like you need to come back for sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna. Is that a good?
It's an amazing metaphor, and I think what happens with most highly intuitive people, which I would call you highly intuitive, is
thank you.
You're welcome. Is we get on the road and it turns into this meditative state.
Yeah.
And your muscle memory takes over. You know,
okay.
And that's why a lot of people in the shower and driving have these aha moments, because their mind is busy doing something else, and the soul can actually speak very clearly.
Wow.
Now, if I were you, I would set an intention.
I would not drive anymore now.
I would set an intention before you get in the car, like something that's been
conscious.
troubling you or whatever, or a situation you just want deeper clarity on, and let it kind of fester and see what happens when you get out of the car, what clicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's okay to, because what I heard you say was like you were in a state of unconsciousness, and you said pause, and I'm going to go back to consciousness. But now you're encouraging.
Well, I think driving for you is a meditative state. I think it can be utilized. An unconscious behavior is also. Let me give you an example from my own life. So here's a very, very clever one. So several years ago, we were in Florida. This had to be 10 years ago. I was with my mother. And we were at an Italian restaurant with a bunch of different people, my aunt and their friends. And the guy brings the bread, and I'm watching the bread going around, and I'm starting to freak out. Because I'm thinking, oh, there's not enough bread. There's just not enough bread. There's never going to be enough bread. And I'm like, oh, how sneaky is the not enough, the unconscious fear. Yeah. That's a moment to pause and go, okay, what do I know is true? What's my foundation belief? What can my soul tell me? Right? So one of my soul languages is called equalizer. It's all about balance. Well, I'm obviously out of balance.
Yeah.
You know, and growing up, there are one or two core energies that had to be used stronger to kind of fight your way through or to survive in some aspects.
That's interesting. Now, are we born with this, or do we cultivate it? Do we
You are born.
create it?
You are born with it. You can create more consciousness of it. But what I believe is somewhere wherever we go when we're not in body, we sit down. I call it the soul table, and we go, okay, what do we need? What do we need this time? And who do we need? And what do we want to accomplish? Now, this is where everyone can step into fear, because people are like. This is why people want to know their purpose so bad, because everyone needs a desk, and I'll tell you that story in a second. Okay. And everyone wants to feel like they're making an impact and being of service on this planet.
Yeah, I don't know about the desk, but I know about the need.
I had a friend in high school who would, when he was sad, he would crawl underneath his desk at home. He's a 6-foot man underneath his desk. I was like, why? He's like, you know, Jen, everyone needs a desk. Everyone needs a place.
A safe haven.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you feel like you're not being on purpose, you're in this anxiety of, oh my God, I'm not on purpose. Oh my God, I'm not going to complete my mission. Now, I can go even deeper and say, you're going to feel like you're letting whatever you call your higher power down. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So, but what people really get confused about that mission or that purpose is they think it's about doing. They think that their purpose is to be a coach or an author or a speaker or a healer. No, that's a delivery system.
Oh, wait. Okay. So it's not about, okay. What you do is a delivery system.
Right.
So what is it about then?
Right. That's where my equalizer comes in. My purpose here is to create a profound sense of balance for myself and offer that to others. The delivery system is soul language. It's a great delivery system. But if you drop me and be a bartender, I'm still going to be doing my mission. The delivery system will be off and I'll be cranky, but I'm still doing my mission.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, so what you do is the delivery system for what you are.
Right.
Whoa. That's amazing.
It takes a lot of pressure off you, doesn't it?
You know what, it really does. It's like, okay, maybe I've chosen the best way to get that message out or get the delivery accomplished, but yeah, it does.
So
you should go to every high school before somebody picks their major, which drove me crazy. It was like, I don't know what I want to be.
Yeah, and even when you go through college, you still don't know what you want to be.
No,
You know. So here's a perfect example. One of my other soul languages is called Teacher of Integrity. It's all about being able to see the consciousness of love, and helping people move from unconscious to consciousness. So here's the thing. I'm going to say something really radical.
Okay.
There's no such thing as unconditional love. If you are in some sort of condition of love, there's no such thing as conditional love or unconditional love. If you are in some sort of thing that is putting conditions on love, you are not in the consciousness of love. It's just that simple.
So even putting the fact that this is unconditional,
And conditional.
has already labeled it and
Right.
it made a boundary. Yeah.
Exactly. Because love is just it's all forgiving. It
Yeah.
transmutes everything. Right? So what I've been able to see is where people are in the consciousness of love or not, and how they can move back. In corporate America, I did this not in such a graceful way. Right? And I would tell people the truth. People don't like to be told the truth. Now I get paid to tell people the truth because they're hungry for it.
Well, it's so interesting. I climbed the corporate ladder and got there and went, I hate who I am. I had to play so many political games and do so many things that were just, again, and it was like, and of course, like most, I think the statistic is 80% of women who make it to the top leave. I left. It was like, I hate who I am. This isn't me.
It's an imprisonment.
Or if this is me, I don't like me anymore. Yeah. So, fascinating.
Yeah, and I would, my third language, my third core energy is called Graceful Warrior. So that was my most used language, but it was warrior, not really graceful. So I was so good at my job in PR that I would walk into a company and go, okay, here's what I do and here's what I don't do. And I would get jobs for it because I'd be like, you're going to do that or you're not. Right. Now it's a real core of strength. Rather than I would do that and then I would beat myself up because I was too aggressive or I didn't wear the right shoes or I was too demanding or I was too masculine or all of that. When I started really accepting that courage, that profound strength, my life totally changed, blossomed. Then I got to go inside and see all the little wars that I was with myself, little tiny ones. And what happened was I moved one house over, literally, and I'm using the word right, one house over from where I was living. And people would come in and go, oh my God, I love it here, can I just stay here? And my clients expanded and grew. My book was published. I got a sacred partnership, relationship. Things just changed. The more you go internally, the more you can create your external. And I think people do their life out there, not in here.
Well, I think at least you create it more authentically. Right. I mean, it's really you as opposed to, here's a guideline for writing a book. Here, put this here and put that there, I think. The cards that she chose, one is communication, which I think, I never quite understand why communication is black and white and, you don't get to see the face, but that means there are so many more aspects to communication, right? Is that what made you choose that card?
Well, there's that old kind of totem of, that figure of, a really fulfilled woman and Buddha-like woman, and she has no head because the heart is where you communicate from. And I chose it because I think that we really don't communicate fully from our soul. I had a perfect example this past week. I had made this entire story up in my head about a friend of mine. And so finally I wrote an email. I'm like, I'm really struggling with the distance that I feel is between us, and I'm really sorry if I did something, can we talk it out? And she's like, what distance? I don't feel any distance. I had made this little thing into this huge thing and didn't communicate anything. And I think, especially in that picture with the male and female, I think that, women spend so much time reading between the lines,
Right.
And so we look for all of the things that read between the lines, especially anyone who does anything with coaching, any intuitive person. We get so much information, and so we assume a lot, and we don't communicate. And men tend to be very black and white.
Well, I was going to say, we read between the lines, and when really men are like double spaced. So
Right.
there's it's not a lot in there to
No,
read.
if he says it's black, it's black. It's not gray or charcoal. It's black.
It used to be gray and now it's smooth. Yeah, it's just black.
So,
That's it.
and I love the image because, you know, they're kind of separate, but their chairs are really close together. They want to communicate, you know. She's kind of like, he's kind of, his legs are really open and she's like closed off. And you know, communication is so key on so many different levels.
Yeah.
Internally, with people, with whatever you call the divine. And the more questions that you can ask, I think, in any situation, the better you are.
Definitely. And the other one that Jennifer chose is timing. And there's a tiny bird there.
Yeah, that's why I chose that
I
card.
know. I love that little bird. And he may or may not be ready to land on the shovel head or whatever it is, the handle. I want to ask you about timing, though, because I'm assuming that your clients and the people you deal with have to be open to this. You can't just go up to a corporate guy and go, you're a warrior. He goes, yeah. You know. So what? Tell me a little bit about timing and why you chose it.
Well, I chose timing for a couple of reasons. One, I love the little bird. I thought, oh my God,
cute.
here's this little powerhouse of a bird, and he's going to make it and land, and no one's going to, you know, stop him. And I chose it also because people often use timing as a sabotage or an excuse.
Oh.
So one of the things that makes my eyes roll is when people go, oh, divine timing. You know, I didn't get that because of divine timing. And I go, wait, you're a co-creator of the universe. What are you talking about? Like, yes, there's stuff that needs to happen and take form and take shape. And there's no such thing as an overnight success, actually, right? Because there's all that building. But I think that often we utilize that timing as a way to kind of hold ourselves back and not really kind of expand. And I think a lot of people are so confused or get so focused on the how. So, like, how does this work? How does this do this? Blah, blah, blah. You're in charge of two things. You're in charge of the what, and you're in charge of the why. The universe is in charge of the how and the when.
Oh, that is such a hard lesson to learn. But
it's really painful.
I mean, we spend so much time thinking, I'll speak for myself. I spend so much time thinking, I'm in control of everything, and I have to and it's like, I'm in control of nothing.
No, you're only in control of your next divinely inspired action, taking that.
And my reaction to that, that's the only thing I can control.
But when you think about everything has already been created for you to have what you want, and you just have to follow the next step. If you keep trying to remember that and turning towards that, it becomes I don't have to do it all alone. And I think so many strong women, right, are so used to like carrying that, being Atlas, carrying it all on themselves. And that also means that they're stiff-arming the universe, divine, tree, God, Bob, whatever you call it. I actually had a client call it Bob. That's why I use it. Because I'm like, okay. So they're so used to going, no, I got it, that they don't allow for that universal flow and that deep connection. So here's a perfect example. I'm in the post office, and this woman who has a 3-baby carriage, twins, right, packages, is trying to pull open that heavy post office door. And I'm like, do you need some help? She's like, no, I got it. And I'm like, no, you really don't have it. Like, why would you turn down help?
Yeah.
And we so often do that. And at the same time, internally, we're like, oh my God, I feel unsupported. Why isn't anyone helping me? And you're like, you keep stiff-arming the universe. It's not going to help you. So I think that's why I chose that.
And I think sometimes also we get, as women and as having to work really hard, and I think we get caught up in goals, and the next step is, and we don't listen internally, which I think is hard. Now tell me what you do with your clients. You after you give them this information, there are 3 elements: the mission and et cetera. What do you carry on with that, or do they go and research it, or both? Or?
Both. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. I work with something called the spiritual renegade. So someone who's never going to do it like anyone else. Someone who has been told, oh, no, you can't do it that way. They're highly innovative people, and yet they know that there's something bigger out there, and they want to have a deeper relationship with that bigness. So even though they're successful, there's an inkling inside that there's something off. And it's usually around what they're experiencing in their everyday life is not enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough. And even if they had enough, it still wouldn't be enough.
Enough. There's no such thing as enough. Yes.
Right? So we kind of work to kind of realign. What I really do is help people release struggle in every aspect of their life.
Wow, that's a noble profession. Release struggle.
Yeah.
By allowing
Contacting
their
with it.
normal, no, by allowing who they are to
Right.
exist.
When you have a deep acceptance and a deep connection with yourself and you trust the universe, Trey Bob, right, then you can kind of let go and really step and be in that flow, right, and be who you really want to be. So my people always have big missions. They always want to be of service. I have this amazing background of PR and marketing. And so in our conversations, I'll go, okay, I know what you said. Let's tweak it. And this is the message point, like to talk about it in sound bites. Also, what people try to do is try to understand that sacred purpose. So I help people really understand why they're here and to help accept it, understand it, and then express it to others.
Well, if they go to your website, which is www.soullanguage.us at the bottom of the page, what are they going to find there? And are they going to be able to contact you directly?
Oh, yeah.
And
There's free audios. There's a discovery session, which is complimentary. Everyone's entitled. There's a contact page where you can sign up. You can email me. My phone number is actually there, too.
real phone number.
Real number. I pick up the phone myself. I answer my own email.
no.
I know, crazy, right?
Yeah.
So there's a number of ways. There's a newsletter, which is a tip. I have a YouTube channel called Soul Language. I love to give complimentary and free stuff. And I love... I'm tangible. So a tool is only going to work if you can integrate it into your everyday life.
Yes, if you
Right?
can relate to it, but I think you've taken care of the relating to it. I think by the time you're finished, I know that happened with me when we did this. People are relating to the message here, but and then you also help them put it into practical terms.
So I believe that the way for a really sustainable life is a sacred practice, something that you do every day. This is a sacred practice, right?
Yes.
So most renegades don't like to do the same thing twice every day.
Okay.
Yeah, I get bored personally. So we also talk about what your sacred practice is, what your foundational truths are. So my truth is, I believe I'm whole and complete. Now some days I'm really good in that truth. Right, but if I really, some days I'm expressing it not so good, right?
Yeah.
But if I believe I'm whole and complete, then I have to believe everyone I come in contact with is whole and complete.
This is fascinating. I wish we have like 10 seconds. I wish we had more time. Jennifer, I can only thank you a lot for coming and encourage everyone to go to her website. This is fascinating stuff. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.